Okay. Right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this session. The session is entitled City, Subnational and National Governments Joint Actions with Multiple Actors Towards Health, Inclusive, Sustainable and Resilient Food Systems. Welcome to everybody in the room and to those who are online. My name is Jane Battersby. I am a researcher at the University of Cape Town and also a member of the Urban Food Systems Coalition. We have a very packed program today, so I'm going to be keeping our speakers very closely to time. Just to indicate that this is a hybrid event, there are some of us in the room and there are many of others online. Thank you for joining. We have interpretation via either the sound in the room. Number 1 is the floor, number 2 is English, 3 is French, and 4th is Spanish. Online you have your own interpretation services. After the panel discussion, we're hoping to have a short Q&A session, so please raise your hand to pose a question or to make a comment. We've also got an email address live where you can post any questions that you have to the team. Furthermore, because we're in the 21st century, we have hashtags, hashtag UNFSS 2023, hashtag food systems, hashtag global goals, hashtag urban systems, and @food systems to follow the conversation online and or posting. So like I say, we have a packed program including representatives from different levels of government, civil society, academia. So welcome to the session. I will hand over first to Dr. Lawrence Haddad to give us an opening session. Lawrence has been at GAIN's Executive Director since 2016. And in 2020, he was asked by the UN Deputy Secretary General to chair Action Track 1 of the Food Systems Summit, which was ensuring access to safe and nutritious food for all. Lawrence is the co-founder of the Standing Together for Nutrition, a response to the COVID-19 crisis, and is one of the drivers behind the initiative on climate and nutrition, which it formally launched at COP in 2027, COP 2027. And as we're all sitting here sweltering in the Roman heat, I think we're well aware of the importance of thinking climate, nutrition, and the urban. Over to you, Lawrence.
Thank you, Jane. Bit of an embarrassingly long introduction, but thank you for doing that. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you all for coming here. Thank you congratulations on finding the room. Well done. It took me quite a while to get here. I'm really delighted to be here, and I'm delighted to open this event. It was jointly organized by the Coalition on Sustainable and Inclusive Urban Food Systems, of which GAIN and FAO are co-chairs. In addition, the Local 2030 Coalition and the Politecnico di Milano University. I think those are the 3 organizers. I want to start on a slightly somber note. One of my mentors passed away earlier this year. His name is Michael Lipton. Some of you will know Professor Lipton. And he was, one of the things he did was to tell us about urban bias. He was a proponent of the idea that urban elites in urban populations, so urban populations are home to most of the elites, and because the elites are close to government, that the elites can force governments or push governments to take care of urban elites at the expense of everybody else. And this is sometimes, it's sometimes viewed wrongly as urban bias is all about everyone in the urban space can take care of themselves and no one in the rural space can take care of themselves. Of course, this is wrong. It's all about how you develop urban spaces, because we know that in urban spaces, inequality is often much greater than it is in rural areas. The poor and the rich live side by side, sometimes in the same neighborhoods, sometimes as neighbors. And so it's really about getting the yin and the yang of rural and urban to work together. A focus on cities is not a cure-all for development, but not focusing on cities is certainly a kill-all for development. So we have to focus on cities. Why is that? Because, well, cities have a big demand pool for food and for every product, but for food. They're a source of a lot of business innovation, not all of it, obviously. A lot of innovation happens in rural spaces, but young people tend to leave the rural space, go to the urban space, and innovate, especially in the private sector, in agriculture. And of course, urban governments have a sphere of control that is smaller than national governments, but often tighter. They can do stuff. They can experiment with things in ways that national governments cannot. So it's not about whether it's urban or rural, it's about both. And it's about how we engage with the urban space. We need inclusive governance in the urban spaces. But governments in the urban spaces also need to be connected vertically with the national governments so that they can create a good environment, enabling environment for urban governance. But more importantly, they can connect what's happening in urban spaces to the national debate and ensure that there are really strong rural-urban linkages. So in this session, you'll hear from really fantastic experts. 3 of them are here, 2 of them are online. And of course, Jane, who knows a thing or two about urban food systems. You'll hear about what's happening, what kind of work they're doing, and what we can all learn from this. Again, is playing its part. We have a program called Nourishing Food Pathways, operating in 10 countries, supporting the development and implementation of food system action plans in these 10 countries. And a big part of that program is around how do we connect the local, whether it's urban or rural, to the national. You need horizontal coordination across ministries, but you also need vertical coordination between the national, between the regional, national, subnational, and local. And that's really hard to do. It's important to connect vertically because essentially we talk a lot about national food system pathways and national food systems, but they're really an agglomeration of local food systems and local governance. And so we want, at the moment, we have it's like a mosaic. The national picture is a mosaic of the local. And we want to convert somewhat disjointed pictures into pictures that are beautiful and present a picture of positive transformation. So without further ado, back to you, Jane. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you for setting the scene so clearly. Right, as Lawrence said, this is a really important moment to be thinking about the connections of urban to national. And we know that just 2 weeks ago, the SOFI report was launched for this year that had an urbanization focus. I'm currently leading the writing team on the CFS high-level panel of experts report on strengthening urban and peri-urban food systems for food security in the context of urbanization and rural transformation. So there's a lot of energy in this field at the moment. And so I'm really excited to be able to ask the same question to all of our panelists. So the first question is, how can cities, subnational and national governments work together to deliver interconnected and innovative solutions to ensure transformative food systems? And on the back of that, also additionally, we're all coming from different contexts. Can we share examples related to food system entry points like food and nutrition security, food loss, food waste, waste reduction, resilience to shocks and extreme events? How can the actions that are being practiced at the local scale be scaled up or scaled out, whatever scaling term we want to use? So all of our panelists will be answering these questions from their contexts and their experiences. So first, I'm going to start with the Honorable Mohamed Safiani, who is the Mayor of the city of Chefchaouen and the President of the UCLG Forum of Intermediary Cities. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Excellences, partenaires, collègues et amis. Tout d'abord, je tiens à remercier les organisateurs de m'avoir invité à cette importante session. J'ai l'honneur de m'adresser à vous en tant que maire élu de Chefchaouen, ville intermédiaire du nord du Maroc, appelée la ville bleue, représentant ma communauté et les aspirations des habitants, mais aussi en tant qu'envoyé spécial sur l'alimentation du réseau mondial CGLU, Cité gouvernements locaux unis, ainsi que président du forum des villes intermédiaires de CGLU. C'est avec ces nombreuses et différentes casquettes que je viens apporter le point de vue des collectivités territoriales, ce que nous constatons, ce à quoi nous nous engageons, mais aussi sur quoi nous souhaitons travailler avec d'autres pour faire un appel général à toutes les parties prenantes et les preneurs de décision afin de construire des systèmes alimentaires plus durables, tous ensemble, car nous le savons, aucun acteur ne peut agir et œuvrer pour sa transformation seul. Simplement pour vous rappeler l'engagement pris à travers le pacte pour l'avenir de l'humanité concernant les systèmes alimentaires par le plus grand collectif des gouvernements locaux et régionaux, CGLU, lors du dernier congrès mondial à la fin d'année dernière. En plus de mentionner la nécessité de revoir nos systèmes de production et de consommation qui sont aujourd'hui trop destructifs, l'engagement est de promouvoir des systèmes alimentaires durables et inclusifs, gérés et améliorés par toutes les sphères du gouvernement, favorisant l'accès et la qualité à l'alimentation, la sécurité, la souveraineté alimentaire et la résilience. Il convient à présent d'atterrir, concrétiser et déployer effectivement ce type d'engagement à travers des échanges comme celui d'aujourd'hui. Nous allons nous centrer aujourd'hui sur l'importance de l'approche collaborative entre différentes sphères de gouvernement, mais également avec d'autres acteurs. Comme l'affirme très bien le titre de cet événement, les autorités locales, régionales et les États unissent leurs efforts pour une pluralité d'acteurs pour promouvoir des systèmes alimentaires sains, inclusifs, durables et résilients. Cette approche collaborative vise à relever les défis majeurs liés à la sécurité alimentaire, à la durabilité environnementale et à la résilience face aux crises, tout en favorisant une alimentation équilibrée et accessible par tous et pour tous. L'importance accordée à cette coopération multi-acteurs s'inscrit dans une perspective globale de développement durable, où la coordination et la participation des différents acteurs tels que les autorités publiques, les producteurs, les organisations locales, les acteurs économiques et la société civile jouent un rôle essentiel dans la construction de systèmes alimentaires inclusifs, durables et résilients. Ainsi, je vais partager avec vous trois éléments principaux concernant les rôles des collectivités locales et régionales dans une alliance pluriacteurs pour les systèmes alimentaires renouvelés. 1. Les autorités locales et régionales jouent un rôle pivot dans les systèmes alimentaires, notamment en temps de crise. En tant que principaux pôles de consommation, situés à proximité des publics fragilisés, isolés et de faibles revenus, les villes et les régions ont la responsabilité d'assurer un accès inclusif à une alimentation saine pour tous, sans exclure personne ni aucun territoire. La pandémie de la COVID-19 a mis en évidence une fois de plus le rôle crucial joué par les villes, tant auprès des populations que les acteurs des systèmes alimentaires pour maintenir l'accès de l'alimentation en période de crise. Ils ont mis en place des mesures de soutien envers les populations vulnérables, des actions solidaires et des initiatives pour appuyer les producteurs locaux et maintenir les liens avec les acteurs de la grande distribution, garantissant ainsi une économie alimentaire viable permettant chacun de se revitaliser. L'engagement de la créativité déployée par les acteurs du système alimentaire durant cette période ont démontré l'importance d'initiatives collaboratives. Les villes en coordination avec tous les acteurs locaux ont souvent agi comme des facilitateurs, des animateurs, tout en mettant en œuvre des actions directes pour préserver des systèmes alimentaires en période de crise. 2. Des outils de gouvernance multi-acteurs et multinationaux et multiniveaux au service des systèmes alimentaires résilients. Les bénéfices d'une collaboration commune entre acteurs régionaux, nationaux et locaux ont été observés dans plusieurs pays du Nord et du Sud avec le développement d'outils et des méthodologies permettant d'œuvrer vers des systèmes alimentaires durables, inclusifs et résilients. Si je prends l'exemple de ma ville, Chefchaouen, nous avons mis en avant les liens intrinsèques entre les politiques alimentaires et le patrimoine culturel de la ville et son contour rural. D'ailleurs, Chefchaouen a été classé patrimoine immatériel de l'humanité par l'UNESCO dans le thème Dieta méditerranéen. C'était un dossier commun avec d'autres villes d'Italie, d'Espagne, de la Grèce, Croatie, Chypre et le Portugal. Nous avons des plans d'action pour la promotion des politiques alimentaires ancestrales méditerranéennes, saines, inclusives et résilientes, tout en préservant notre patrimoine commun et le mode de vie méditerranéen, et ceci avec l'appui des gouvernements nationaux. 3. La coopération multi-acteurs est un levier puissant pour lutter contre la précarité alimentaire. La coopération multi-acteurs est un levier puissant pour lutter contre la précarité alimentaire et relever le défi complexe d'assurer un accès suffisant et nutritif à l'alimentation pour tous. Les gouvernements locaux et régionaux du monde entier sont confrontés à cette problématique pressante alors que les avancées vers l'objectif de développement durable numéro 2, visant à éliminer la faim d'ici 2030, ne sont pas encore à la hauteur des attentes. Pour répondre à ces défis, les villes et régions s'engagent dans une collaboration étroite avec les autorités nationales et les systèmes des Nations Unies et tous les acteurs locaux pour mettre en place une diversité d'actions visant à garantir un accès équitable, une alimentation saine pour un maximum de personnes. Ces actions de la part du gouvernement locaux incluent la coordination des acteurs du territoire en partenariat avec les associations, les habitants et les producteurs. Un soutien financier et logistique aux acteurs associatifs engagés dans des initiatives alimentaires solidaires. Dans cet esprit, et favorise le développement et l'encouragement des dons alimentaires en collaboration avec le secteur privé, notamment les grandes distributions, les restaurateurs, les coopératives et les associations des producteurs. Des actions ciblées ont été mises en place dans les territoires prioritaires où les besoins en sécurité alimentaire sont les plus pressants. La sensibilisation, la communication et l'éducation sont également des axes majeurs des efforts déployés par les villes pour lutter contre la précarité alimentaire. Et enfin, les initiatives alliant alimentation et insertion des publics précaires sont mises en place visant à soutenir l'automatisation des personnes en situation de vulnérabilité en les intégrant dans des projets liés à la sécurité alimentaire. En réunissant les ressources et les compétences de tous les acteurs locaux et régionaux et nationaux, les villes démontrent ainsi leur engagement à relever les défis complexes de la précarité alimentaire. Cette approche multi-acteurs, multi-niveaux favorise l'émergence de solutions innovantes, solidaires et inclusives pour assurer un avenir alimentaire plus sûr et plus durable pour tous et toutes. Merci beaucoup.
Great, thank you so much. And so many things came out there. The responsiveness of cities to crises, the need to pool knowledge and resources to enable. Thank you very much, and thank you for keeping to time. I'm going to pass on next to a different level of government, to Mr. Jamir Berti, who's a representative of Italian government as the co-chair of the Resilient Local Food Supply Chain Alliance.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I represent here the Resilient Local Supply Chain Alliance, and which is a coalition of action coming out from the Food System Summit, and is a multi-stakeholder community of partners that is country-led, and the priority is local production for local consumption and on focus on building local food system. With the urban population projected to reach 66% by 2050, sustainable urban food policy are indeed becoming increasingly crucial. For food policy are those that have an impact on food system from production to consumption. Many cities have developed integrated food policies. I just mentioned the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact, where more than 200 cities worldwide have signed the pact. But what we think from the perspective of the Alliance is that to face the problem of urbanization and food security in the city is not about urban food system. I would rather talk about food environment, because the issues is to connect urban areas with rural areas. With the industrialization and globalization of the food system, cities have progressively disconnected from the surrounding peri-urban area and rural area, and are connected to global supply chain. What is needed is to develop, let's say, a new alliance, a new pact of reciprocity between the cities and the countryside, recognizing the value of farming in rural area close to the cities, that is providing healthy food, open space, leisure and tourism, land management. What happened in the cities in Italy. The flooding that happened just a few months ago demonstrate what happened when the farmers leave the countryside to the cities. So the countryside provides land management and other ecosystem services. So the point is how we can connect the cities and the farmer, because we should provide fair supply chain and proper living condition to the farmers. So cities can do much and are at the forefront with the food policy. Example, concrete example is the green public procurement. School meals are an example. The point is that the system should help family farms that represent the 80% of the world's food value according to the FAO data, how we can help these farmers to get to the school meal. So the point from our perspective is to strengthen the local supply chain. So we need supporting infrastructure, logistics, and also organizational model for aggregating small farmers to provide food to the cities. The point is that we need to go over a kind of cityism and looking a broader territorial approach, which aim at overcoming the dualism between rural governance that is supply-driven and urban governance that is demand-driven, and develop a territorial approach which bring together the urban and the rural areas. And this I connect what has been said by Haddad before is about the relevance of vertical governance, because to connect the rural and the urban, you need upscale institutional level food governance to take together the cities and the countryside. So it's very important to develop a multi-level food governance model, and I hope that the legislative framework on sustainable food system that will hopefully come out in September by the EU Commission will take serious consideration the need for connecting the all the level from the local to EU, and also as part of a territorial approach that is horizontal and bringing all the stakeholders together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jami. Our speakers are doing very well at keeping to time. I appreciate that. So again, we heard the importance of making these connections between cities and the lands around them, and the multiple benefits to both sets by doing that, but also some of the contestations and challenges of bringing those governance systems together when they have these almost competing logics. So I think as we move forward, we'll take these conversations in. We're moving online now. We have Mr. Tijani Hassoumi from the Niamey municipality. Unfortunately, he can't join us in person, but he will be joining us online.
Allô? Allô? Vous m'entendez? Oui, bonjour. Bonjour, moi je suis Assoumi Tijani de la ville de Niamey. Je suis le directeur de l'environnement et des aménagements paysagers pour la ville. Voilà, donc je vous remercie vraiment pour m'avoir invité à participer à cette rencontre. Nous sommes en ligne, mais quand même, vous pouvez nous entendre. Voilà, donc je viens de... Vous m'entendez, j'espère? Je suis entendu? Allô?
Yes, we can hear you.
Est-ce que vous m'entendez? Allô?
Yes, yes. Yes. We hear you well.
Yes, OK. Donc voilà, pour ce qui est de la ville de Niamey, effectivement, effectivement, nous avons des actions que nous mettons en œuvre au profit des communautés depuis un certain temps. Et nous sommes donc inscrits dans une dynamique quand même d'encourager, de renforcer un peu l'agriculture urbaine comme facteur de renforcement des résiliences face au choc climatique. Et pour cela, déjà, nous sommes signataires du pacte de Milan depuis 2015. Donc, il y a eu des actions et il y a eu des participations à toutes les séances que le pacte de Milan organise pour un peu le renforcement des villes en matière de sécurité alimentaire et de partage de bonnes pratiques. Pour cela, en 2020, déjà, il y a eu un pilote qu'on a mis en œuvre ici, au niveau de la ville de Niamey, qui a profité à certains groupements maraîchers, qui consistait aussi à faire le pont entre la salubrité des marchés et le développement.
I'm sorry, Mr. Tijani, we cannot hear you very well. Can I suggest that we move on to the next speaker and try and resolve the sound issue? All in agreement? Okay, thank you.
Hello? Hello?
Sorry, the sound quality is very poor, so we're going to move on to the next speaker, and hopefully we can get your sound better. Thank you. So mute. Okay. Okay, should we mute? Gosh, these are always the challenge with hybrid events. So I'm afraid we're going to have to move on, and I'm going to introduce Giulia Bartesecchi from the Food Sustainability Lab at Politecnico Milan. She's been the director of the lab since 2016 and is going to hopefully elucidate. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jane. I'm sorry for the previous speaker. Hope technical issues will be solved. So thanks a lot for inviting me. Actually, we are co-organizer of this event. Really glad to be part of this high-level panel and happy to see also another researcher next to me. So I'm representing University of Politecnico di Milan. And to respond to your question, I would like to focus on the potential of multi-stakeholder cross-sector partnerships involving different stakeholders from the private and the public sector as agents of food recovery and redistribution actions in cities, and particularly highlighting the role that universities, as us, so academia and research, can play in those urban alliances. But why this topic? Also listening to the other speakers, because we see, as already stressed by other panelists, so due to continuous urbanization and increasing socioeconomic inequalities, the effects of COVID-19 pandemic, ongoing conflicts, so for all these reasons, cities are increasingly exposed to problems of access to food for all, and particularly by most vulnerable people, so including immigrants, but also homeless people, impoverished residents, and many other impoverished stakeholders. So at the same time, we witness so a lot of people without access to food, so a problem of food insecurity, food and nutrition insecurity, but at the same time, food being lost and wasted in big amount. And so this paradox is evident, increasingly evident, in both high-income, low-income countries, and particularly in urban areas where people concentrate and consumes of food are taking place. So in this context, food recovery distribution actions have been prioritized as a joint response to the paradox of food insecurity and food waste, particularly in cities. However, local governments as well as private actors still face barriers in operationalizing, so implementing those type of actions at local scale. But in this context, cross-sector partnerships emerge as effective arrangements to engage local governments, academia, but also no-profit organizations, civil society organizations, businesses, business associations, urban markets that manage to mobilize and pool a unique set of resources, skills, competences, tangible resources like spaces, infrastructure, trucks, intangible assets like legitimacy or logo, for instance. So all together towards the same goal of providing innovative solutions to provide access to food for all and valorizing at the same time surplus food. And those type of partnerships have a few advantages compared to traditional food donation models. How? So first, they manage to integrate in the supply base additional food streams, including quality and fresh products. Second, thanks to the integration of multiple resources brought by different partners, they manage to provide flexible responses to food and nutrition insecurity in cities by hybridizing different models of food recovery distribution. For instance, combining traditional food donation with transformation of surplus food in cooked meals and other products with longer shelf life, with also the social market models, so different type, flexible type of models to redistribute food. And third, they managed to supplement food assistance with other welfare services like legal and psychological support, but also childcare. So for a more rich package of services for final beneficiaries on top of food assistance. And this thanks to the collaboration and integration of different competencies and resources of different partners. In those partnerships, universities can play an important role as facilitator, but also promoter of these kind of actions. And for instance, us, as Politecnico di Milano, we are part of several research action projects with this particular aim to redistribute, to recover, redistribute food, operating at the local level, so in collaboration with multiple partners, and bringing our competencies in economic management, food packaging, food quality, food safety, service design, urban planning, and so on. Just to name a few examples to give some concrete, tangible ideas, we are involved in the neighborhood hubs against food waste projects that I would like to mention because I see that there is a representative of the food policy here of Milano municipality. So this project was initiated in 2019 and was awarded the international prize, shot prize, and managed to recover last year more than 300 tons of food to people in need through the combination of several partners and resources for this aim. There are also other examples I can bring, like the collaborative kitchen, which is a novel food donation system based on a community co-design process operating in Reggio Emilia, or on foods and agri-tech, two big important projects where the national government is the supporter, financial supporter, but leveraging the collaboration between many universities and companies towards concrete actions to provide access to food to people in need, but also to test novel circular economy solutions. So different examples. Just the last key message is that urban, as already also stressed, the urban dimension provides a promising site for these kind of collaborative actions to flourish, that then should be and can be scaled up for a more systemic change of the food system through multi-level governance, so integrated approach with a higher level of governance. Thank you. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Julia. And it was music to my ears to hear that the university does have a role. I think, as academics, we often feel a little bit on the edge, but I think we also play this important role as institutional memory in systems that change very fast and institutional conscience. What I really like to hear was around how taking on a particular challenge and trying to find innovative solutions to address multiple challenges requires multi-level governance, but we often talk about multi-level governance in quite loose and nebulous terms. But when you dive into a particular system like waste, you can see kind of where those points of intersection really lie and what it really takes to make the change. So thank you for the case. We're going to move to another online speaker. Hopefully this one will work well. We have Ms. Maria Siqueira from Pacto contra a Fome in Brazil. She is a consultant civil society organization representative. So we've heard from government, from academia, from collaborations, and now we hear a civil society voice in the room. Thank you. Maria?
Good morning, everyone. Do you hear me well? Okay. First of all, thank you for the opportunity of having the Brazilian reality shared on this important space. In Brazil, the need to rethink the structure of our existing food system is urgent. The same is true for the way the country works together on a common agenda. Here in Brazil, we are facing a concerning and inconsistent reality where 70% of agricultural land is dedicated to just 5 crops: rice, sugarcane, beans, corn, and soybeans. Furthermore, the rate of food loss and waste throughout the whole chain is alarmingly high. Last year, Pacto contra a Fome conducted a study based on data from reputable sources like FAO and Embrapa, which is the agriculture company of the federal government. And we estimated that out of the 161 million tons of food produced in Brazil annually, staggering 55 million tons go to waste. So the situation is very, very bad concerning the waste, the food waste. Simultaneously, over half of Brazilians experience some level of food insecurity, while approximately 22% suffer from obesity. The situation is even worse in the urban space. Out of the 33 million that are going through the worst level of food insecurity, 27 are on the urban space. So the situation in the cities are even worse. So to add on these challenges, there is a deepening ideological divide in the country, which makes it harder to get to a common agenda as a country. Also, the public policy institutions concerning food were very weakened over the last 10 years. To sum that up, between 2020 and 2022, the total investment in social programs supporting food security declined by 30%, making it even more challenging yet crucial to unite government, the private sector, and the third sector in transforming our food systems. To address these pressing issues, we created the Pacto contra a Fome, which is a civil society movement that works with the government on the mission to engage the whole society to fight hunger on its roots and to reduce food waste. We were co-founded by 40 people from different sectors and areas, and we have a complementary view on the issue. We share a common vision aligned with the SDGs. By 2030, we hope that no one in Brazil will be going through hunger anymore. We work together with data analysis, research, and technology to better understand the problems and its solutions, with the promotion of best practice, and last but not least, with the promotion of better articulation and dialogue between the multiple stakeholders that are needed to solve the issue. We believe that food insecurity is a problem that transcends interests, religions, and political partners, and each and every one of us plays a fundamental role in changing this scenario. Governments, for example, can lead the way by creating guidelines, strengthening public governance, and scaling solutions to ensure food security and nutrition for all. On the other hand, the third sector, with its innovative approaches, can reach the most vulnerable communities impacted by hunger. Academia also has a crucial role on finding innovative solutions and to understand which one are the most effective. Meanwhile, the private sector has the power and tools to drive systemic changes, finance initiatives, and adopt best practice aligned with the SDGs and with the ESG principles. Despite all the challenges I've spoken about, there are very interesting examples of cooperation in different regions of Brazil that can be replicated and implemented on a national scale. At Pacto Contra Fome, we, for example, launched an award in cooperation with FAO, FAO, and UNESCO to recognize 6 third sector initiatives fighting hunger and food waste with a prize of a financial prize. The winners will be announced in October, the month of food. There's also several good examples happening beyond Pacto Contra Fome, on the government, on the third sector, and on the private sector in Brazil. For example, there are two very important examples I'll make sure you understand. The first one is the state of Ceará.
So, Maria, sorry, we're running almost out of time. Can I ask you to close out in 30 seconds?
Sure, I'll do that. So we have several good examples in the third sector, the private sector, and the public policy. All of them will be together at Pacto Contra Fome, and we hope we can have the role to unite all the stakeholders regardless of their background or interests. And we believe the solution is cross-sector and multi-stakeholders. And we hope to move together with the determination and solidarity to ensure a hunger-free and sustainable future for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maria. Sorry to have had to rush you. We've managed to get our speaker from Niamey back online. So in perhaps just 2 minutes, Mr. Hassoumi, I'm wondering if you can provide some input for us. Thank you.
Oui, merci, merci à tout le monde. Désolé pour ce désagrément. Voilà. Donc, c'est pour juste, je m'en vais directement vous souligner quelques exemples que nous avons au niveau de Niamey en matière d'appui pour la collectivité aux communautés locales, surtout les producteurs maraîchers et aussi les populations de façon générale. En 2020, déjà, nous avons mis en place un micro-projet qu'on a intitulé Niamey Ville saine et durable, qui consiste un peu à faire le pont entre la salubrité urbaine, surtout la salubrité des marchés, et aussi les producteurs maraîchers, quelques groupements maraîchers qui sont en périphérie à l'intérieur de la ville. L'objectif, c'est d'améliorer la productivité alimentaire de façon durable, mais aussi de produire sain et aussi d'assurer une certaine salubrité au niveau des marchés où nous procédons à la collecte des déchets que nous transformons en compost et qu'on met à la disposition de ces producteurs. C'est un projet pilote qui a servi aussi à la mise en place des lignes directrices des villes secondaires qui sont autour de Niamey, Tillabéri et Saï, de la région voisine de la région de Niamey, et qui méritent aussi d'être mises à l'échelle au niveau de la ville de Niamey. Nous sommes actuellement en train de réfléchir sur un projet qui permet non seulement de mettre à l'échelle ces projets, mais aussi de faire un peu les ponts entre les deux concepts, c'est-à-dire la salubrité urbaine et aussi la productivité alimentaire. Donc, à travers, bien entendu, le système de valorisation des déchets en compost. Ces projets, récemment, nous l'avons un peu exposé dans le cadre du pacte de Milan, où nous avons participé à Dakar. Et c'est un projet qui consiste à renforcer les capacités des producteurs maraîchers en zone périphérique de Niamey et qui peuvent constituer un pôle d'alimentation et d'approvisionnement alimentaire pour la ville et qui permet aussi de maintenir, de préserver ces zones à travers donc l'utilisation du compost en lieu et place des engrais chimiques pour un peu améliorer la productivité et aussi produire sain. Au-delà de tout ça, dans le cadre de l'amélioration de l'environnement des producteurs aussi, nous avons mis en place en collaboration avec d'autres partenaires un micro-projet qui est un projet que nous avons, qui a été financé par la coopération technique belge, qui est intitulé UCLIP, Urban Climate Information Platform, qui consiste à identifier un peu, à orienter les décideurs face donc aux hausses de température dans la ville. Ça a permis quand même de mettre en place une plateforme numérique qui permet d'identifier les températures dans les différents quartiers de Niamey. Et ça permet d'orienter surtout nous autres qui sommes dans le système de plantation urbaine, de voir où il faut prioriser pour les plantations, où est-ce qu'il faut planter le plus, puisque c'est une solution naturelle qui est vraiment à la portée des communautés et de la collectivité aussi. Donc, c'est à l'issue donc de ça, effectivement, que nous avons aussi mis en place un nouveau projet que nous avons intitulé Niamey Climate Forest, qui consiste à suivre ces plantations dans les différents quartiers et aussi à identifier, à géoréférencer les différentes poches de plantations que les populations font pour pouvoir les accompagner dans le suivi. Dans le cadre de ces derniers projets Niamey Climate Forest, nous avons pu renforcer les capacités des agents impliqués dans la...
Please, sorry, we've almost out of time. Can we wrap up?
OK. Sorry. Juste pour vous dire que, bon, à Niamey aussi, il y a des actions qui se font en collaboration avec des partenaires tels que la coopération technique belge, tels que le pacte de Milan, tels que l'UXDEV, en matière de renforcement des capacités des communautés locales pour améliorer la résilience. Voilà, donc pour ne pas trop s'étaler, merci.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your patience with our technical challenges. All right, that is the end of our speakers. And I think we've heard some wonderful things. We heard some things around peer-to-peer learning, around collaboration, around the need for multiple partners. One of the entities that we weren't able to speak to is the real importance of youth in our urban areas. We are well aware of kind of the changing demographics of our cities, particularly in developing parts of the world. So I just want to see if representatives of the youth have a question or comment that we can just flag. And then I'm afraid we may not have time for more questions. We do have the opportunity to engage outside, and also, yes.
Thank you so much, and I would thank you for including us in the audience, even if we couldn't be on the panel. It's really important that we're even in the room, and I speak on behalf of about 100+ young people who have been part of the UN food systems process from 2021 to now, and a minority of us are currently in the building. So please do come to our youth booth in the exhibition hall to find out what we've been doing in the past 22 months in terms of implementation of youth priority actions. But in terms of urbans and cities, as you're well aware, as so many young people live in urban cities, we have the largest generation of young people to ever exist. The majority of them live in urban settings. We have over 100,000 young people and youth-centric organizations working in urban settings, as well as between the divide between rural and urban. Many of these young people choose to work more on the social and cultural aspects of urban food systems transformation, including school meals. And I was really glad to hear school meals on the panel, and especially the supply chain side of school meals. But unfortunately, in many cities across the globe, school meals don't exist. And even in university settings, meals don't exist for students. And if they do exist, they aren't free, and nor are they healthy and sustainable or locally produced. So we have many young people working across the globe to ensure that school meals are on governmental agendas, and also to bring school meals back on governmental agendas, as during COVID, a lot of school meals agendas were just cut. We also have young people working in education settings to ensure that food systems transformation is part of school meals or school agendas in urban settings also. So thank you so much. Back to you.
Great. Thank you. We have only 4 minutes before we expected to leave the building, but I do want to just ask Remy Shipton if you have any reflections.
Hello, everybody. My name is Remy Setipin from UN Habitat, also representing Local 2030 Coalition that some of you might be aware of. Just to, as a co-organizer of this event, really appreciate. This is one of the unique opportunities where you have all these tiers of government representing and discussing. But to add one element that is fundamental, that at least at the UN level, through, for instance, the Local 2030, we are also doing that horizontal coordination, you are saying, for that type of issue. So that governance we have been discussing here is not only at the country level, but also at the global level. So that multiple actors contribution is very much important in this type of global forum or opportunities. So just to thank you all, go home, digest this one, and really implement. I think experiences we have seen here is not just talk show. Let's see how we can really cross-fertilize this type of ideas, considering that cities are really the glue that brings some of these things together. So that conversation in terms of space, as was clearly mentioned, the case of gain, had to be misconstructed and really make that practical in many ways. So I'm not sure if the other co-organizer will speak, but really an opportunity to say that this is a very, very large coalition that had put this effort together, including FAO, GAINS, and other. And we really appreciate all of you coming and enjoying this conversation. And I know that many of you would like to speak still. I think we have to still project the email address for all of you to still share your input contribution, just to assure you they will not go to waste. So thank you very much, and back to you.
Thank you. And in the final minute, I just want to re-emphasize that we know that our urban areas are areas of profound challenge and profound opportunity. We know that the cities have a range of influence of power, and we need to learn to harvest those powers for good, and how to create these multi-level, multilateral, multi-stakeholder engagements in a way that is meaningfully transformative of the food system and of the lives of residents. Thank you everyone for attending. I think we need to exit. Thank you.